snaps on, it's locked in triplicate. Very, very secure, but at the same time still rotational. So if you run into something, if you're going, say you're on like a battleship or you're in some sort of a close quarters combat situation, if you run into something, it's not going to just fall off the sheath. It's just going to spin around. It'll forgive you in both ways. So then when you want to press the button to release the knife from the sheath stays on the location that it is, whether it's the belt, the pocket, whatever, and then the knife itself can be opened and used this way, or in a tactical situation, like this. And if you're using this knife in a situation like that, good luck to the enemy trying to get that out of your hand. I mean, it's in there, it's locked. And it's ergonomic, it feels nice in the hand, and it's got a good gripability. And it's one of the more unique knives that we've done. It's got a frame locking device on it, so the frame falls in underneath the blade. Just move the frame out, slide it in there like that, and that's basically how it works. This is this one was almost as long to develop as this one here. Pretty difficult piece.
I want to go over those two.
Which? No, these are not gone. That's the, I think that's the green one. Check out, if you want to see how dark it, or how bright it glows, go in the bathroom and just check it out. It's fantastic. This stuff is amazing.
Go over those two pieces?
Sure. This one is the Michael Hawk Peregrine. It's his folding Hellion blade. The Hellion is a Tonto with a recurve and a steep Tonto grind on the tip there. This version is bead blasted with G10 handles. It's completely hollow, so it can be cleaned easily. No pocket clip or anything because of the general size of the knife, and it's got flip-out finger guards. These don't have a name or a trademark just yet, but the flip-out finger guards will allow the user to use the knife with more confidence and ability to thrust, stab, those types of things without the fear of their hand moving out onto the sharpened blade. And it folds in there nicely. It becomes a nice integral piece of the handle, and it has a liner lock that moves out of the way and allows for the AUS 8 blade steel to fold back into the handle nicely. And there's the knife in total. This is also a Michael Hawk design here. This is called his Sparrow, and the Sparrow has a little bit of a piece here that allows the blade to open nicely. And it's very lightweight, very small knife, and it's extremely ergonomic. I was told that during the design process that he actually took a piece of Play-Doh and held it in his hand and squeezed it to create what he wanted the knife to feel like when it was closed.
Can you show the deployment?
Sure. The deployment out of the pocket can be done this way. The clip will be located here on this side. It'll go into the pocket this way, and as you pull it from the pocket, it'll catch on the pocket and open up and be ready for use in the tactical grip position. And that's the knife itself there.
Very cool. You want to go over your modified butterfly?
Sure, sure. This is called the Vujade. It's the MK4. It's the 4th folding karambit that we've done. It utilizes a button lock and a strategically placed latch with a spring load on it. And what happens is you press the button here, the handle gets pulled slightly apart, and the latch will flip to its opposite end. And then as the handle comes all the way around, it will lock back into the same button that it just unlocked from on the opposite side. The ergonomics of it are very similar to the MK1 karambit, which was the first one that we've done, the one that received a lot of compliments, a lot of accolades on how it felt in the hand. So I wanted to create something that had a unique opening but still felt the same when you were using it and holding it. And it does inspire confidence. It is quite an innovative knife, and I believe it's one of those knives that people can just, aside from its use, it's another one of those knives that you can just kind of be on the phone or be doing your job and just be kind of flipping around and messing with, which I always think is a pretty cool feature for most knives, is the ability to be able to play with it and mess with it while you're doing something else. Kind of fun, better than biting your fingernails, I guess,
You figured out a quick way to deploy that?
Well, I'm fairly good at it, but Brent is probably better at it, and there's a couple guys that are actually even better at it than either of us. But it's a little tricky still, but we'll get there. As soon as I get this latch to go over all the way 100% every time, because right now the latch isn't quite springy enough. It's still a prototype. It's not quite springy enough to go into the exact right position. But once it gets to that point, then it'll go in every time, make it a lot easier. But the key to it is to be able to keep it flowing freely as it's kind of in a horizontal position on your hand as you open it. So it's kind of tricky, but that's actually kind of the cool part about it, is that it takes practice to get it perfect. And So we'll probably offer a trainer version of it as well, so guys aren't out there getting cut. There we go. That's kind of a nice one. That worked okay. Cool. But yeah, the trainer versions are always nice.
Guys, feel free to like pick a knife and ask him questions about it, so I can get close up while we're talking.
Bottle opener. This is the a bottle opener knife. We call this one the bottleneck. And what it does is it has the keychain that runs right through here, so that the bottle opener is always accessible. But the latch on the top has integrated springs in the handle, so you flip this latch over right here, and then let the handles fall, and it's actually a butterfly knife as well. So the bottle opener portion gets covered by the handles, and then the blade itself is exposed and easily used. Now the reason why it's so small is because I'm in California, and in California butterfly knives are illegal.
You need a permit for that, right?
Unless it's less than 2 inches long. So a lot of guys went the way of doing a full-size butterfly knife, and then they would just have like an unsharpened sort of rod that held the blade on the end that was like 1.5 inches long. And I thought, why not just size the whole thing down, make it into a bottle opener, and then make the blade 1.99 inches long. And that way, you know, the guy who wrote the law for California, you kind of just give him one of these and just be like, what? You know? What? You know? What?
You could always move to Arizona and not have to worry about these problems.
That's a good suggestion.
We barely have laws here.
I love it. I love it.
That would be laws and quotes, sir.
So that's the story with that one. It's kind of a fun little piece. And you know, with everything I do, of course, I offer a lifetime warranty on it. So if there's ever any issues with anything, please just let me know.
I was just curious about this one because Brent, he actually got me started on this. I was amazed at it because I own a 480 Shoki, one of the first productions. And I paid about $230 for it. That
you got
cost
yourself
me so much less.
You got yourself one heck of a knife here, sir. This is one of the first ones I actually lost money on these.
I can see why. I mean,
I did.
Carbon fiber on it.
Yeah, it's this carbon fiber. It's an S30V blade. It's a stainless liner. It's the MT2SC, and one of the first 11. I was urged by the guys who I was paying consulting fees to do a less expensive version of this knife and a more expensive version of this knife because they felt that this knife would be very, very popular. Because of the direction that a lot of the other ones went in, this was considered one of the more mild of the knives. But when you open it up, it kind of balances itself out because this little eye hole here and that little eye hole there, they actually disappear when they're fed into each other. It's kind of a cool little portion of the design. But the carbon fiber scales on this, I quickly had to go away from that after the first run because it was too expensive. And definitely at an $85 retail for this knife, I was losing money. And so I had to switch over to G10, which I'm at now. I think he actually took my G10 one yesterday and sold it. But this knife now is done with the same blade steel, but with a sculpted G10 handle instead.
I have one of those, but I was just curious. It opens so smooth. Like the Benchmade I have is it's gritty and it's like $240, but this thing is it's smooth. You don't
Oil impregnated bronze bushings. Something I learned from Ken Onion. Oil impregnated bronze has been around for a long time, since the 1950s, I think. And what it is essentially is it's bronze that's made into a washer, and then there's little tiny pores, microscopic pores inside the bronze where they put lubrication inside there. So it actually takes use and friction in order to get the lubrication to come out of the pores that are inside the bronze. It's really kind of cool stuff. And so the more you open it and close it, the smoother it gets because more lubrication is released from the pores. And that's what it has inside those inside that particular pivot. Yeah.
I want to go over that 3-piece series that you have
Sure.
after his question, of course.
Moving your clip. Has anybody requested moving the clip sideways for across the back draw?
Yeah, that's why we did it that way.
Because I thought I have one, not this one, but a different style, and it only could go here.
Strange. It's supposed to be able to unclip here and be able to clip here. So the distance between here and here is measured the same as it is from there to there.
Yeah,
so
we're trying to move it on, I can't remember which one of the black ones.
Is this yours?
No, that was the one right there.
Because because I've done it 100 times at least, and it worked just fine. So I'm wondering why yours didn't. Yeah, it was specifically designed so that it could be worn right-handed across the back like that, and be able to cross draw, quickly and easily. And that was kind of the purpose of the whole thing. But this knife was.
So it's supposed to be that way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
The holes, these pivot pieces, are chainring bolts for a mountain bike. Yeah. The spacer in here, this aluminum spacer right here, is the red because it's the only place I can even think to put the red. And this is a knife that was done specifically for A.G. Russell. And I knew that A.G. Russell was a tough nut to crack as far as getting your stuff to be sold and through their catalog. And if I'm sure you read the thing I sent out. And so when they showed interest in this particular design, I became extremely excited about that, and I wanted to do anything it took to get my knives into the catalog. And so they went ahead and they said, yeah, we can do it, but I need to have that blade in S30V, and I need to have that handle done in carbon fiber. So I also offered up these to them and a few to the militia, and the rest of them that are going to be in production are going to be G10 handles and an AUS 8 blade. So you guys just basically lucked out.
I have about 5 or 6 friends because I showed them that like the very next day, and they're like, "We want it." I'm like, "No, you're not getting this one." But where could they get that one? Just curious. The production one with the G10 you were talking about.
Well, it's not done yet. It's coming soon.
Is that gonna be through Mantis or A.G. Russell?
No, it's gonna the only A.G. Russell one. See, like you got one that's actually numbered 7 of 17, right? Yeah. A.G. Russell has the same knife, but there's no numbers on it. So they got 100 of them I made for them, and then I always make 20% extra just in case there's assembly issues or problems of any type during the production process. So I ended up with 17 extras. And 17 extras that weren't going to be bought by A.G. Russell. So I'm like, all right, what am I going to do with these 17 pieces? Mantis Militia would love to have them, right? So I sold them to you guys, and I mean, and it was a heck of a bargain for you guys, and A.G. Russell doesn't mind because you guys are part of my collection of customers that are customer direct.
He brought me one, Kev.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
I had to. It was the first. Yeah, it's fine. It was in the first couple years of the existence of Mantis, and I was still selling Mantis knives on this table and GT knives on this table, and we had GT was around a long time before Mantis was around, and so there was a lot of guys who already owned them and had them. And there was a guy who came up and he goes, "Oh, GT, man, you guys have the fastest opening auto out there." And I'm like, yeah. And I said, this particular one is not an auto, this is just a plain one. And I handed it to him and he's messing with it, And I said, now this one is an auto, and it's a different type of spring that has beryllium copper in it. It's a different type of stiffer spring. It's stronger than the spring that you know of before. I've been carrying these knives a while, it's fine. Right as he's telling me how good he is with the GT knife, he opens it and it slams right into his palm. And it got him so good. It bit him so good right in here. And he closes his hand quickly, and he's like, "Oh, it's cool, I'm all right. And he stands there and proceeds to continue talking. Now, as he's talking to us, it's coming out. And it's dripping all down on the carpet. There was blue carpeting in the aisle in front. I remember this specifically because I remember looking down and seeing this enormous black spot. It was red on the blue, it looked like purplish. And it was like a lot of blood, man. It was a lot of blood. And he finally decided that he had had enough, and he just decided to save face and walk away. Yeah. Which was fine. But at that point, I felt so bad. And that's when, and then me being the smartass that I am, I say something like, "Hey, playing with the knives is free, but Band-Aids are $100. Something dumb like that, And he's just like, he walked away, and I'm sure he's fine. But I mean, at the same time, I felt kind of bad, So it happens.
Is this a box for it? He doesn't have a price on it, does he?
Oh.
MKF, well, since I marked it, I might should buy it now.
I think he wanted 160 for it or something.
Are you still making that brand?
I still make them. It's just that I have to make each one of them by hand myself because none of the guys that I have doing the Mantis stuff won't mess around with these at all. Wow. And so mainly it's because of the loading of the thing when you're putting it all together. It's not that complicated. They just don't want to do it.
Do you have any of the ones that you were showing me earlier that you made for Big 5?
Yes. Oh, do I have them with me? No.
No. Can I order one? Get one from you?
Well, yeah, you can have that one if you want.
I'll buy it from you guys.
Okay, if the Beetle thing ever happens, you got to call me.
Absolutely.
It's the Taco Bell King. How many of these do you own now? Is that a Taco Bell card? Do you own a whole bunch of chains of them now?
No.
Oh.
I have 6 of them.
That's a chain in this state.
Do you live around here?
No, I live on the other side of town.
Oh, I was going to say, I own a 50s diner a mile down the road.
Oh, nice.
I've seen that. The 50s diner is yours too?
It's a big breakfast place.
That explains the same.
I was there working last night. That's why I wasn't here last night.
That's cool.
And I won't be handling food today, I don't think.
You don't want to get the little finger condom? The little blue finger condom?
We need a Band-Aid! Hey, Skip, it's a pleasure to meet you too, bud.
What's your name?
Greg.
Greg, good to meet you. Nice
to meet you.
Jared,
Nice to meet you.
if I could handle it?
That thing is crazy cool.
Pretty wild, huh?
You want to talk about that one again while he's playing with it?
Sure, yeah. It's going to be, the final version of it will be an M4 tool steel. It'll be, it's about 5/16 inch thick on the stock, on the steel stock. The final version will have a, as you can see on this one right here, there's a drawer on the back side right here that slides in and out, and what that does is it keeps a watch battery. It's one of those thin little watch batteries, you know?
Point that out real quick.
It's right in here, right here, and this piece slides out, and the watch battery slides right in there. And then so you can replace the battery, because the laser itself, it actually takes up kind of a lot of power, and so it needs to be replaced every few hours of operation. But basically, it's a momentary on and off switch, and so all you got to do when you're, I actually designed it so that if you're right-handed and you're really gripping down on it, that all you have to do is sort of rotate your thumb inwards a little bit and just run it up against there. Really grip down on it though. Really, like you're really going to hammer through like a 2x4 right now. And then at the same time, you activate the laser with the inside portion of your thumb, and you can feel that it's, you don't even have to move your hand position, because the most important thing is a secure grip on that knife. Second best thing is to be able to activate the laser without having to move your hand around. So I made it so that the machining of the handle would feel nice and ergonomic, but at the same time was thick enough and wide enough to house the 3-volt lithium battery compartment, as well as the laser itself and the momentary on-off switch at the front. So the end version, the target price is about $250. Is about the target price, and it's going to come with a drop-down leg holster that'll make you feel a lot like RoboCop.
Chandler PD's already scared enough of me as it is, so.
Yeah, that's the thought with that one, and there were certain aspects that I took from this knife, put them into that knife, like these little through holes here. Through holes match this piece on the back. This all matches, as well as some of these lines here, these vertical lines that you can find them here and here, and these little cutouts here for the fingers. You can see them here and here, and so. That's kind of the goal. It's kind of what I was trying to create, was to show people that the same mind that created this knife was the same mind that created that knife. Just kind of make them look like cousins, you know? All of them, when they're sitting down next to each other, and that's what I stress to the dealers who sell the product. I say, you know, I understand that you may not want to carry all the Mantis knives, but it helps to sell the Mantis knives when they're all next to their kin. Like if the Chaos is sitting next to the Sync Karambit, they help to sell each other because they look alike. They have aspects of them that make them look like they're a family, like they're related. And so it's important that they sit next to each other, as opposed to taking the Mantis knife here and setting it next to a Gerber in the sales. On the you know, people tend to do it in a different ways. Some guys like to put every knife, like every fillet knife, on one shelf in one section. So they'll take the Benchmade fillet knife and put it next to my folding fillet knife, and everybody else's straight blade fillet knives. But I don't believe that that's the right way to do this, because this is one of the only folding fillet knives out there. There's only one or two other companies that do a folding fillet knife. And I think it's important to keep the Mantis with the Mantis, because then people can see that it's something unique and different.
It's really nice too when you go in and you look at a display case and you have the entire line of one brand, and then you have the entire line of another brand. And it just, you can see all of them, because it's cool to be like, you may not like this one, but the one next to it maybe have just a little bit different, and you may love that one. Sure. But if, you know, one's here and one's down there, you'll never see them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so it's important to me that each one of them speaks, you know, it says something about the brand as a whole. Because each one of them is great as an individual, but when they're sitting with the 2 others or 3 others that are just like it, or ones that inspire that design, then it works out. I think it's the best way to display them.
I just want to say thanks. I really enjoyed it.
What's the catch on this one?
Oh, well, you know what? Well, that's
Okay, now he did this one.
Okay.
What I learned about this is that he has a machine, a 5-axis machine.
Oh wow!
That's capable of doing this, but that
it's
nobody
all one
else,
piece, right?
Yeah, and that nobody else in the industry has this machine. That he was able to either take the machine from his days of doing the gun production, and utilize it into the knife business. So what he's got here is this sort of grenade, this sort of frag pattern here on the outside, and you unscrew it here, watertight by the way. Unscrew it, and then you've got yourself this knife underneath. It's a dagger that has a twist to it, sharpened edges.
Triple edge.
I mean, is that not the coolest thing ever? I mean, seriously. Let's just get real about it.
It's got a hollow, watertight handle.
I like the fact that it has blood holes so you don't get the blood on your hand.
You gotta have the blood grooves, man. You gotta have the blood grooves.
Have blood grooves. If you're gonna stab a dude, I mean, it's just a straight up shank. I can only imagine that's only legal in a few states.
Then
Arizona, of course, being
area
one.
inside the handle that's waterproof, so you can keep your important documents in there.
And we were just discussing it's banned by the Geneva Convention. It's not legal in warfare to have a triple-edged knife.
Not legal in warfare.
Hold on. Let me reframe that. It's only not legal for us law-abiding countries, but all the jackasses that keep attacking and trying to kill us, they're good to go.
Right. Right. I mean, this is just... I mean,
Haji is good to go, right?
Oh yeah,
they can do whatever they want. Not us. God forbid we kill someone in a fun way.
God forbid we take photos.
No shit. God forbid you pee on a guy.
I need your evaluation.
The MT 7.2, this is the folding pry, second edition folding pry. It's got a bottle opener integrated into the blade here. So we fit the bottle right in there and pop. It's got a thumb stud that's basically located on the spine of the blade and screwed into the spine. It's got, on this side, what's called a Besh wedge. The Besh wedge was designed by Brent Beshara. He's Canadian Special Forces military. And what he discovered was that if you grind a knife on one side of the blade, slightly different angle than you do on the other side of the blade, then you end up with two tips rather than one. So what you've got is a tip here and a tip here, and they're connected by a sharpened edge. So you've actually got an edge here, and an edge here that are all sharpened and able to cut, which will allow you to pierce just as easily as you would with a single tip. But you also have an edge of the area, an edge of the blade at the tip of the blade that isn't thinner, that you can still use to do prying and other hardcore tasks that knives typically aren't called on to do. And so the pry tool basically at the tip is a really, really nice feature that hasn't been utilized very often by knife makers. The backside, it's got a replaceable tungsten glass breaker. Replaceable because in my personal experience in the past, these glass breakers are only good for 1 or 2 nice trips to the cement. If you drop these puppies on something other than glass, you will find you have a pretty little mushroom on the back of your handle pretty quickly. These things don't stay like that very long. So I wanted to have one that had the option of being able to unscrew it, replace it, screw in another, something else. So the final version will have some minimal changes, one of them being the clip that can be configured on this side or on the other side. And then on the final version we'll also have a slightly different pivot than you see here. The pivot will actually be just the inside portion of the pit boss. Just the inside portion of that screw will be placed there. And on this version it'll be black, and on this version it'll be bead blasted. But it'll have that 6-prong
Now, which one is the SIG model?
This is the SIG model here.
Okay. And has this even been, is this even out yet?
No, this is not out yet, and this isn't the final version of it either. The final version of the SIG one is actually going to have something hidden in the handle here on the back side. I'm going to remove a portion of this liner here and put a little rotating piece that pops out here that's maybe only about 1.5 inches long. It's going to rotate off of this piece here, rotate outwards like that, and it'll be a seatbelt cutter.
So similar to
the Benchmade
triage.
Yeah, the orange one or whatever.
Yeah, it's in, you get black too.
I think they have it, yeah, in both.
Yeah, I have the black one. I use the black one. I think it's really nice.
And to me, when the handle, when you look at it, it looks like a turd. It really does. It just
not pretty,
like
but it's functional.
Just a floater, just chilling.
But I think it's really cool that you've got the bottle opener right there.
Well, you like that comment about the floater?
Yeah.
She's laughing. I mean, they make a high quality product. In my opinion, Benchmade they haven't figured out as far as high quality knives go. I just feel like they have a little bit of weak points in their design on some of their stuff. But they've never offered me a job, so. Placed latch with a spring load on it, And what happens is you press the button here, the handle gets pulled slightly apart, and the latch will flip to its opposite end. And then as the handle comes all the way around, it will lock back into the same button that it just unlocked from on the opposite side. The ergonomics of it are very similar to the MK1 Karambit, which was the first one that we've done, the one that received a lot of compliments, a lot of accolades on how it felt in the hand. So I wanted to create something that had a unique opening, but still felt the same when you were using it and holding it. And it does inspire confidence. It is a quite an innovative knife, and I believe it's one of those knives that people can just, you know, aside from its use, it's another one of those knives that you can just kind of be on the phone or be doing your job and just be kind of flipping around and messing with, which I always think is a pretty cool feature. And a steep Tonto grind on the tip there. This version is bead blasted with G10 handles. It's completely hollow, so it can be cleaned easily. No pocket clip or anything because of the general size of the knife. And it's got flip-out finger guards. These don't have a name or a trademark just yet, but the flip-out finger guards will allow the user to use the knife with more confidence and ability to, you know, thrust, stab, those types of things without the fear of their hand moving out onto the sharpened blade. And it folds in there nicely. It becomes a nice integral piece of the handle, and it has a liner lock that moves out of the way and allows for the AUS-8 blade steel to fold back into the handle nicely. And there's the knife in total. This is also a Michael Hawk design here. This is called his Sparrow, and the Sparrow has a little bit of a piece, and it's got a good gripability, and it's one of the more unique knives that we've done. It's got a frame locking device on it, so the frame falls in underneath the blade. Just move the frame out, slide it in there like that, and that's basically how it works. This is this one was almost as long to develop as this one here. Pretty difficult piece.
I want to go over those two.
Which? No, these are not gone. That's the, I think that's the green one. Check out, if you want to see how dark it, or how bright it glows, go in the bathroom and just check it out. It's fantastic. This stuff is amazing.
Go over those two pieces?
Sure. This one is the Michael Hawk Peregrine. It's his folding Hellion blade. The Hellion is a Tonto with a recurve. So when it snaps on, it's locked in triplicate. Very, very secure, but at the same time, still rotational. So if you run into something, if you're going, say you're on like a battleship or you're in some sort of a close quarters combat situation, if you run into something, it's not going to just fall off the sheath. It's just going to spin around. It'll forgive you in both ways. So then when you want to press the button to release the knife from the sheath stays on the location that it is, whether it's the belt or the pocket, whatever. And then the knife itself can be opened and used this way. Or in a tactical situation, like this. And if you're using this knife in a situation like that, good luck to the enemy trying to get that out of your hand. I mean, it's in there, it's locked. And it's ergonomic, it feels nice in the hand. It's here that allows the blade to open nicely. And it's very lightweight, very small knife. And it's extremely ergonomic. I was told that during the design process that he actually took a piece of Play-Doh and held it in his hand and squeezed it to create what he wanted the knife to feel like when it was closed.
Can you show the deployment?
Sure. The deployment out of the pocket can be done this way. The clip will be located here on this side. It'll go into the pocket this way, and as you pull it from the pocket, it'll catch on the pocket and open up and be ready for use in the tactical grip position. And that's the knife itself there.
Very cool. You want to go over your modified butterfly?
Sure, sure. This is called the Vujade. It's the MK4. It's the fourth folding karambit that we've done. It utilizes a button lock and a strategic